Good afternoon. The meeting of the Capital Program Oversight Committee is called to order. Mr. Savio, are there any members of the public who have signed and wish to speak?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We have two public speakers. The first will be Jason Pinheiro, who will be followed by Rachel Foss.
Good afternoon, Freddie and Ronnie. I hope that you guys learned the news that Amazon decided to establish in Long Island City, Queens. And obviously, Governor Cuomo mentioned the possibility of building a Long Island Railroad station in Queens with an investment of $2 million that he mentioned in the press conference with the mayor. And regarding CBTC on the Flushing line, I can't wait for November 27th that we could see the second line being CBTC fully active. We want Queens Boulevard to be that way also. And to bring the new equipment and having the Long Island Railroad Metro North comply with the FRA, because if not, we will have to waste more money, and money that we don't have. So I hope that the news that was announced today, you guys will digest it, do the thinking, and let's do investment in transit, shall we? So I'll see you guys next month.
Next speaker is Rachel Foss.
Good afternoon. My name is Rachel Foss. I'm the Senior Research Analyst for reInvent Albany. We advocate for more transparent and accountable state government, including for state authorities like the MTA. While it is likely a relief and good news for the committee to receive a report today that the Flushing CBTC project will be in service this month, we'd like to provide the CPOC with our analysis of the project timeline. This project has been at least 15 years in the making, with design planned in the 2000 to 2004 capital plan starting in 2003. Phase 1 construction is 5 years late from what was originally proposed by the MTA. The 2005 to 2009 capital plan had major funding commitments to start in 2007, yet the Thales contract was not let until 2010, 3 years later. The work with Thales, originally planned for completion in November 2016, is now 2 years late, bringing up to a total of 5 years of delay from the original plan schedule. Additionally, the project is $157 million over budget from the original proposal in the capital budgets. And I'm sure you'll see in your report that the total is now up to $588 million for removals in Phase 1 work. Given these large differences, we call on the MTA and the CPOC to conduct and release an in-depth lessons learned report about what worked well and what didn't. The MTA likely knows the reasons for these delays, but the public does not. The report is essential to ensuring the success of the Fast Forward plan, which calls for system-wide CBTC upgrades on a condensed schedule, doing what would normally take the MTA 40 years to complete 10 years instead. In reviewing the CPOC's materials since 2011, we found a pattern of issues that may have contributed to delays, but it's not clear to us if the board has conducted a similar review. And receiving staff reports on a quarterly or less basis, you're getting a snapshot in time, but not aggregate information, and sometimes it's rebaselined. Since 2011, the staff has reported to CPOC that software issues were a concern, either red or yellow in your status reports, 10 times. General order availability was a concern 9 times, CBTC testing an issue 5 times, and R188 availability concerned 3 times, though we do appreciate that Hurricane Sandy played a role there. And there's things that the MTA can control and not control, and we appreciate that, but I think the overall issue is that the public needs to understand what the MTA does in that regard. So we are calling for an in-depth lessons learned report about what worked well and what didn't. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That concludes public comments.
Thank you very much for coming. We have the minutes of the October CPOC meeting in the committee book. May I have a motion to approve? Second. Are there any changes or comments on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstaining? The minutes are accepted. Mr. Savio, would you take us through the work plan?
Yes, there is one change to the work plan. The committee charter review, originally scheduled for November, has been removed from the work plan because the Corporate Governance Committee and the full board completed the annual review of all charters this past March. That's the only change.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is the New York City Transit Capital Program update. Update on Signals and Train Control Division. Mr. Gomez.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Robert Gomez, Program Officer in Capital Program Management. We continue to make good progress advancing the Signal System Modernization Program. Today, I would like to highlight these projects for you. The Flushing CBTC project was awarded to Thales in June 2010. This project overlays a new CBTC system on the Flushing line from Main Street to new 34th Street Hudson Yards Terminal, and also modernizes two interlockings, First Avenue and Times Square. A solid-state interlocking was installed at First Avenue. This contract also equipped 46 11-car trains with CBTC equipment. The project is 93% complete, and CBTC will be in service on the entire line by the end of November. We have completed all major testing and have been able to achieve software stability of the CBTC system. During my last update, I reported limited CBTC operation of the line. Today, I'm pleased to report we have full CBTC operation 24/7 from Main Street to north of Grand Central Station. We'll be working closely with Thales to resolve open items to achieve substantial completion, and will be followed by a 2-year system stability monitoring period that we will be with Thales on site. As the graphic shows, CBTC is in service from Main Street to Grand Central. We have removed over 150 old signals and over 160 track circuits in this area. The south end of the line from Grand Central to 34th Street will be placed in service on the last weekend of November. In the major milestones, we achieved system stability through a series of software releases and by meeting in-service performance metrics. We were continuing to work with Thales to fine-tune the system and meet operational and performance needs. We have acquired and have secured all the geos required for the final completion. And final implementation of the ATS interfaces are underway in parallel with the cutovers to minimize any schedule impacts. The CBTC QBL project consists of 2 phases. Under the first phase, Siemens and Thales are designing and furnishing 2 interoperable CBTC systems. These systems are being installed and commissioned under a second phase of the project. CBTC will be deployed on the E, F, M, and R lines as shown on this map. A total of 309 R160 units will be equipped with car-borne CBTC equipment. This contract is on schedule and within budget. Substantial progress has been made. 46% of the CBTC wayside and car-borne equipment has been delivered. The Coney Island Yard test track has been placed in service, and integration testing between the 2 suppliers has started. We have completed installation of car-borne equipment on 171 out of the 309 R160 units, and ATS testing is underway at the RCC. In the next 6 months, we'll complete interoperability testing between the 2 CBTC suppliers. We'll start post-installation checkout, or PICO, testing of the CBTC wayside and relay room equipment that's needed for the intermediate cutover, and we'll continue the installation and testing of the car-borne equipment. We're tracking 4 milestones. The start of integration testing between Siemens and Thales equipment was delayed by 1 month to August, but completion is still expected for May 2019. No impact to schedule is anticipated. The CBTC train operator simulator will not be available in time to support the intermediate cutover for the train operator training. Plans are being developed to train the operators in the field to support the intermediate cutover. The installation of the car-borne equipment by the Division of Car Equipment in the R160 cars is proceeding on schedule. All the trains will be equipped by June 2020 in close cooperation with Siemens and Thales. The latest project schedule shows a potential 1-month delay to substantial completion due to earlier limited track access and software readiness, but we're working with the team to mitigate this delay. The CBTC Queens Boulevard line installer contract was awarded in December 2016 to LK Comstock. The project will install all CBTC equipment except for the car-borne equipment and support all CBTC testing and conventional signaling work. The project is on schedule and within budget. The installation of the wayside CBTC equipment is progressing as planned. The installation of fiber cables at the RCC is complete. We're progressing the construction of the signal power rooms and the installation of all equipment in the relay rooms. Over the next 6 months, we'll complete fiber cable installation between Roosevelt and 71st Avenue relay rooms. We'll complete cable installation in backup command center. We'll complete equipment installation at Roosevelt Avenue and 71st Avenue signal rooms, and we'll start testing on the wayside signal for the intermediate cutover. We're closely monitoring construction and equipping of the signal power rooms. We're monitoring the complete installation of all signal equipment at 71st and Roosevelt Avenue signal rooms to support the intermediate cutover. And we'll continue to coordinate access to the Union Turnpike signal room to ensure it remains on schedule. The CBTC equipment supplier interoperability contract was awarded to Mitsubishi in September of 2015. The contractor will use the CBTC integrated test facility, including the Culver test track, to demonstrate to New York City Transit that their CBTC system meets our interoperability and interface specifications. Successful completion of this contract will increase our pool of qualified CBTC suppliers to 3. And of course, having 3 qualified suppliers will increase competition for future CBTC projects. The project is within budget and is 47% complete. Substantial completion is forecast for October of 2019. Preliminary design review was approved in December of 2017. Mitsubishi has submitted 22 of 24 documents needed for their final design approval, and New York City Transit is currently conducting factory acceptance testing of their system in Japan. We're working closely with Mitsubishi to maintain the current schedule. Mitsubishi is currently working on the final design review documents. This milestone has slipped to November of 2018, but has not impacted the substantial completion date. Our engineers are currently performing factory acceptance testing in Japan, and will be performing post-inspection checkout in December of their equipment. ISOM is a program of several projects designed to deliver better service, information to our operating department as well as to our customers. Today we'll be speaking about modules 1, 3, and 3A. ISOM Module 1 is the Train Position Monitoring System, or TPMS. This contract was awarded to Yonkers Electric in November of 2015. The TPMS captures train location data from the signaling system and delivers it to the RCC. This information is the input to ISOM Module 3, as well as to the future B Division ATS system. The contract is on schedule and within budget. ISOM Module 3 builds the large-scale display at the RCC and a data warehouse for operational and service-related performance information. Module 3 was awarded in July to A-Rink Inc. and is scheduled to complete in 2022. ISOM Module 3A builds out the RCC to support the large-scale display. Bids for this contract were open on October 16th. The lowest bidder was PJS Electric, and is projected to be awarded by December. The following projects are the interlocking modernization projects, which are currently in construction. These projects represent over $1 billion worth of signal improvements that, with other ongoing work, improve the reliability of the signal system and ensure safe, reliable service for our customers. The substantial completion of the 2 interlockings at Union Turnpike and Continental 71st Avenue was achieved in June of 2018. Both interlockings have been placed in complete service. Additional contingency and TA labor funds are required to complete the project. Closeout of the Dyer Avenue project is projected for November of 2018. The 2 solid-state interlockings that were built at Morris Park and Dyer Avenue were placed in service in 2017. Both 34th Street and West 4th Street interlocking projects took a very aggressive approach with 4-track weekend shutdowns of the line to perform their work. This was very rewarding, and both interlockings were placed in service this past summer. Additional contingency and TA labor funds may be needed. The Kings Highway interlocking is progressing on time and within budget. Steel erection was completed, and construction of the relay room continues. The Culver CBTC project modernizes 2 interlockings and overlays CBTC from Church Avenue to West 8th Street. The project is currently in procurement. Bids were open on November 5th. The low bidder is Tudor Perini Corporation. Award was delayed by a quarter due to industry requests for additional time to review the documents and prepare their bids. In this contract, NYCT added the incentive language, including cap on liquidated damages, an early completion incentive, and a shared TA labor savings provision. The 8th Avenue CBTC project modernizes two interlockings, 30th Street and 42nd Street, and overlays CBTC from 59th Street Columbus Circle to High Street. Design was completed in October. This represents a delay from the date previously reported due to the modification of several interlockings to reduce signals and switch complexity, which will result in better operation and reduce maintenance costs once the project is complete. The project the project award is scheduled for the first quarter of 2019. This concludes my presentation. I'll take any questions you may have.
Are there any questions? Mr. Greenberg?
Yes, I have a few questions because, on the 7 line, right now, you're in CBTC operation up until, I think it's First Avenue, whatever it's in the chart.
Yeah, Grand Central.
Does that mean that where the train operator has the CBTC system is actually operating the train, and the train operator is, so to speak, watching it? Is that what we're doing right now?
Well, yes, it's in CBTC operation. It's not the ATO function.
Oh, it's not.
Which you put it in auto and the operator sits
Right.
back. But it is in CBTC, so CBTC has all the smarts and guides that train through.
Right, it shows exactly how fast you should be going.
Yes.
But are we going to go to the ATO operation in
Yes,
January?
once we have the line complete.
The whole line complete, we're going to try
And
that?
then we do the tuning through the stations, and then we place the ATO in service.
Okay. I have a couple of questions. The Mitsubishi project, that's a demonstration, so Mitsubishi can be qualified to be a bidder. It's not more than that, right?
Right. Well, yes, that's correct. But they have to build their system or have a mock-up system.
okay.
Bring it to the simulator downstairs, prove interoperability with the two suppliers, and then we take them to the test track out on the Culver line, and then they will have to show that they also can communicate with these other trains.
And the ISIM system, which is supposed to gather the information from the traditional insulated blocks, I didn't say gaps, that's easily convertible when a CBT system goes in.
Yes.
To that'll be part of the CBTC, and that's easily convertible. We'll
Yes,
have
as a matter of fact, yes, we're handling all that information, so the ATS will be able to not only know where all the trains are, but it'll also be able to send CBTC commands throughout the system.
Right, when CBTC is put in, it's
Yes.
it's a solid state, it's all geared to
Yes.
be able to do that. Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
On the CBTC installation on Queens Boulevard, is it the goal to have 3 of the 4 tracks operating in the predominant direction of travel in the rush hours, for instance, while that's going on?
So the question is, once we're in full CBTC service, will they be able
No,
to?
once you're in construction.
Don't think we've talked about, so having service
You
going.
have no GOs in mind yet?
Well, we've laid out the GOs, but basically what we do is we either try to work on the 2 express tracks to allow the 2 locals to operate, or we'll take one of the locals and transplant the local into one of the express. So we usually try to be able to maintain, for the most part, service to a certain degree.
No, I understand that, but the service pattern is not defined yet when you get into later into the construction of the project. Obviously, you're going to want to keep as much of one of the majority direction of travel, AM rush, PM outbound, to the extent you can. I'm assuming that's one of your goals.
Yes, of course.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Independent engineering consultant, Mr. Gali.
Good afternoon. The IEC report on signal and train control begins on page 29 of the CPOC book. This afternoon, I will cover the Flushing and Queens Boulevard Line CBTC projects. With respect to Flushing CBTC, good progress was made since our last report to the board. CBTC revenue service was extended to north of Grand Central, and as indicated by the project team, the entire line is scheduled to be in CBTC operations before the end of this month. Also, system performance did improve. However, there remain a number of technical issues that need to be resolved. The project team plans to implement a number of system modifications and complete some remaining work after the completion of the in-service activities. With respect to substantial completion, the project team is assessing the remaining work with the contractor to determine when substantial completion can be achieved. With respect to the Queens Boulevard CBTC project, the project team is progressing carbon installation and work at the Rail Control Center as planned. However, we have two concerns. First, a number of interim milestones are delayed. This could adversely impact substantial completion date. Second, we did perform an independent assessment of software development, and we did identify a number of issues related to the software management process. These issues present risk to project schedule. We shared our finding with the project team. The project team accepted the findings and is developing mitigations to address them. We will continue to monitor progress, and we'll continue to work closely with the project team on the software development activities. This concludes ISC presentation.
Thank you. Any questions on that? If there are none, we're ready for the update on Systems and Security Division. Mr. Beanstalk.
Good afternoon. My name is Mark Beanstalk, and I'm the Program Executive for the Systems and Security Program Area. Today, I will be presenting 3 projects being managed by the Systems Program. The Flushing Line Public Address System Modernization was awarded to TC Electric in December 2016. This project is installing a new digital PA system and new LCD customer information screens on the Flushing Line. Customer service personnel in the Rail Control Center will be able to make announcements at any or all of the stations on the line. The system will also interface to the Flushing Line Automatic Train Supervision System to display train arrival time at all stations on the line. The project is on schedule and on budget. In April, the budget number reported inadvertently omitted the design funds as well as the funds previously added to accelerate the installation of CIS screens. The correct budget for the project is $65.2 million as shown. We advanced the installation of screens at all stations to accelerate the delivery of train arrival information for our customers. Until the Flushing Line Automatic Train Supervision System is placed in service later this year, the train arrival information is generated using beacons and the iTrack solution, similar to the B Division solution. In the next 6 months, we will complete the factory acceptance testing of the PA cabinets, except for 34th Street Hudson Yards, where a new PA system was already installed and placed in service. Here are some photos showing work recently completed. The top left is a new PA cabinet. The top right shows new speakers installed under the canopy at Metz Willets Point. The bottom left shows new speakers installed on lighting poles at 69th Street, and the bottom right shows a new LCD customer information screen. The Bus Radio System project will install a new digital bus radio system for the Department of Buses and MTA Bus. The project was awarded to Parsons Transportation Group in March 2016. Also part of this contract is to furnish and install computer-aided dispatch equipment, network, telephone, video, and audio systems. The project is currently on schedule and within budget. The contractor's latest preliminary schedule indicates a 2-month delay. The schedule has not been accepted by New York City Transit, and we are working with the contractor to mitigate any possible delays to the project's completion. A separate budget modification has already been approved for the construction of a new antenna tower at East New York. More information will be provided on the next slide. Construction activities at several base station sites have started and are progressing well, and the critical design review was approved in July. Over the next several months, we will begin construction at 3 additional sites in Staten Island and at the Bus Command Center in Brooklyn. We will start the testing of equipment and networks. The first article inspection of precast shelters, originally scheduled for the 3rd quarter, was delayed to the 4th quarter due to contractor quality issues. As I mentioned earlier, the critical design review was approved in July. I would like to highlight one other milestone. In order to complete the pilot on Staten Island, radio antenna must be installed on the tower at Toad Hill and at East New York. After an extended federal review process, we have now received approval from the FAA and DOD to install the new lattice tower at Toad Hill on Staten Island. In addition, new antennae need to be installed on the existing tower at East New York. However, additional load cannot be placed on the tower without potentially compromising the integrity of the structure. We have identified a new site in the East New York subway yard for the tower, cleared the ground, and conducted an environmental study. The contractor has already started design for the new tower. A budget modification has been approved to fund the new tower. Here are some progress photos. On the top left, you can see the foundation for the new monopole antenna at 38th Street Yard. On the right is a photo of new monopole antenna sections at the manufacturer's facility. And on the bottom left, soil boring is being done at the Toad Hill antenna site. We are continuing to coordinate with government relations for specific locations where we'll be installing antenna towers. Construction of a new regional bus command center for New York City Transit and MTA Bus was awarded to MPCC Corp. In June 2015. Substantial completion is currently forecast for November, 3 months later than previously reported. The delay is due to issues connecting the water and sewer lines, which were obstructed by other utilities and duct banks below grade. I am pleased to report that the building is completely enclosed and the water has been connected with the heating systems turned on. Later this month, we will complete commissioning activities and declare substantial completion. The building has already been made available to the bus radio system contractor, who has started surveys and plans are in place to transfer control of the building to the bus group and the BRS contractor. The BRS contractor will install the computer-aided dispatch equipment, network equipment, and communications equipment, as well as the video and audio systems as part of the BRS, the bus radio system contract. As I mentioned earlier, substantial completion is currently scheduled for November. This is the current photo of the building. The front of the building contains offices, and the rear of the building houses the new Operations Command Center. After complete installation of the command center equipment, Department of Buses will be able to use this building starting in the first quarter of 2020. This concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Sure, Mr. Albert.
Mark, what is the range from one of these towers? How far can a bus pick up their signal?
The bus radio system is a different design than the existing system. The existing bus radio system has 4 main locations that cover the entire city.
Oh.
This uses what's called small cell technology, so there are about 33 or 34 different sites scattered throughout the city, including Western Long Island and Southern Westchester, as well as into New Jersey. So the sizes of the cells are different depending on their locations, the topography, and various other factors.
But only 4 for the entire
The old
city?
system had 4 for the entire system.
Okay.
Very, very tall.
Yep.
Tops of towers. The new one has much lower sites, and there are about 34 throughout the city.
Okay.
Similar to the cellular network, like your
Yep.
cell phone, where you have multiple sites, each covering smaller geometric, smaller areas. And that also allows us to reuse frequencies, because the coverage is limited to a certain area around the antenna site. So we can reuse a frequency, for example, in Brooklyn, we can reuse that frequency in the Bronx. So we're able to provide much higher capacity and better coverage through smaller sites and frequency reuse.
And how secure are those frequencies?
They're encrypted.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Okay. IEC's review of these 3 projects. Mr. Gordon.
Good afternoon. I'll be reporting the IEC's project review on 3 projects in the System Security Division. The first project is the Flushing Line Public Address System. The written report starts on page 55 of your CPOC book. We find the project is within budget, and based on the IEC's review of the project documentation, we agree that substantial completion is on schedule for March 2019. Moving to the bus radio system project, the written report starts on page 58 of your CPOC book. The project is currently within budget. Currently, there's evidence of a schedule impact due to slippages of some interim milestones. The project team is working on a recovery plan to mitigate any further slippages of these key interim milestones, and thereby keeping the project substantial completion on schedule. Finally, moving to the Bus Command Center project, the written report begins on page 61 of your CPOC book. The bus command center work is nearly completed. We feel that achieving substantial completion this month as forecasted will be a challenge as due to subsurface conditions that are delaying completion of the sewer connection. We also like to note that the bus command center is not at this point impeding substantial completion of the bus radio system project. That concludes our report for the System Security Division.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the IEC on these three projects? There are none. Update on the Stations Division, which is on page 65 of the committee book. Mr. Fabrizio, Mr. Montanil.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anthony Fabrizio, a program officer in the Stations program. Bill Montanile, program officer, and I will be presenting the Stations Division Capital Program update. I'll provide the update on the 2015-2019 Stations Capital Plan, Stations Program progress since the November 2017 report, along with updates on the Sea Beach Line, ADA, and renewal projects. Bill will provide an update on ADA accessibility projects at key ADA and additional ADA stations, as well as the system-wide accessibility study. The 2015 to 2019 Stations Program includes renewals at 16 stations, elevator escalator replacements at 29 stations, ADA accessibility at 23 stations, component investments at 107 stations, and miscellaneous projects at 13 stations totaling $3.19 billion. Some stations have work in multiple categories. As for projects completed, since the November 2017 report, we've completed several projects, including platform reconstruction at Dyer Avenue on the Dyer Avenue line, the key ADA project at Ozone Park Lefferts Boulevard, platform edge projects at 25th and 45th Street stations, increased stair capacity at Court Square, and 8 station renewals on the Culver line. In the small business program, since the last report, we've installed help points at 5 locations, replaced HVAC units at Livingston Plaza, rehabbed the substation roof at the Stanton Street substation, and reconstructed 9 stairs at various locations. Other projects that we've placed in service include developer-funded projects such as a new street entrance on the southeast corner of 42nd and Lexington, 8 new and replaced stairs from the mezzanine to platform, and a reconstructed and widened stair at the northwest corner of 42nd and Lex, all at Grand Central. This next slide shows progress on the Sea Beach Line renewal project. This project provides for the renewal of 9 stations on the Sea Beach Line. Renewal of all 9 northbound station platforms were placed in service in May 2017. Renewal of 3 southbound station platforms were placed in service last month in October. Renewal of the remaining 6 southbound stations will be placed in service in April 2019. ADA elevators at the new Utrecht and 62nd Street stations will also be placed in service in April 2019, and ADA elevators at the 8th Avenue station will be placed in service in October 2019. Continuing with the Sea Beach project, substantial completion of the 3 stations will be in February 2019, and the remaining 6 stations will be substantially complete in April 2019, with the exception of the elevators at 8th Avenue. The current budget for the project is $455 million, which includes $23 million in added scope for the 8th Avenue station and $40 million in budget mods. To date, we are recessing any additional needs for future reports. Severe steel deterioration was revealed during construction, examples which will be shown on the next 2 slides. These photos show unforeseen excessive steel and structural slab deterioration revealed throughout the control house after the topping slab was removed at the Fort Hamilton station. These photos show unforeseen excessive steel deterioration revealed throughout the platforms after the platform slab was removed at the 8th Avenue station. There remain some risks for the Sea Beach projects as shown in this chart. I'll highlight a few as such. Number 2, notices to proceed for the 8th Avenue station ADL elevators are being mitigated. The northbound elevator AWO negotiation is completed, and negotiations for the southbound elevator are being expedited for completion this month to maintain the current schedule. Number 4, platform canopy leak risks are being mitigated by applying positive side waterproofing, which is a fairly new technology. Positive side waterproofing at 3 southbound platforms is complete and its performance is being monitored. Restoration of paint and plaster will follow. We are currently finalizing AWOs to apply positive side waterproofing at the remaining platforms. We expect that this remedy will address the problem by creating a membrane on the back side of the structure, as it was found that original station did not have waterproofing. So projects awarded. The next few slides show project awards since the November 2017 report. There have been several project awards, not including SBMP projects, and these include $411 million for key ADA projects at 9 stations, $81 million for renewal projects at 2 stations, $73 million for component projects at 9 stations, $98 million for elevator replacements at 3 stations, and $16 million for Grand Central Lexington circulation improvements. The total awarded projects is $679 million. In addition, various small business mentoring projects have also been awarded since the last report. These include 33 stair refurbishments at 25 stations, roof replacements, retaining wall rehabilitation, station lighting at 4 locations, and mezzanine component repairs. That concludes my report on the station's program progress. Bill Montanile will continue with the update on ADA accessibility projects.
Good afternoon. I will report on the system-wide accessibility status. Out of a total of 493 stations, including Staten Island, 119 stations are accessible. 87 of those stations are key stations and 32 additional stations. These stations are utilized by over 42% of the total subway ridership. Regarding the 13 remaining key stations to be completed, 1 is in final design, 3 are in procurement, and 9 are in construction. There are 16 additional ADA stations to be completed. 3 are in master plan, 9 are in design, and 4 of those stations are in construction. An evaluation of the remaining 345 stations is underway. This year, 119 out of the 150 stations have been surveyed. 31 remaining stations will be surveyed by the end of 2018, and the balance will be completed in 2019. The evaluations will inform the selection of new stations in the next and subsequent capital programs. The evaluation will also develop a conceptual accessibility plan and cost for each station. Upcoming steps include partnering with the board work group, identification of the stations with community input, evaluation and advancement of new projects for scoping and design, initiating designs included in the 2020 to 2024 capital program and the Fast Forward initiative, and advancing the Fast Forward plan strategy of an ADA station no more than 2 station stops away. Thank you. That concludes our presentation.
Thank you. Are there any questions on this? Hearing none, I'll go to the IEC review on the Sea Beach line.
Yes, good afternoon. Mark Saluka. I'll be giving the update on Sea Beach. The full report can be found on page 95 of the CPOC book. Based on our review of the project, the IEC agrees with the schedule and budget information and also the risks that were mentioned in the agency's presentation. We believe the project team has a good control of the risks and also the mitigation measures that are underway, including the leak remediation that was mentioned by the agency. After 4 years of a challenging construction project, the IEC believes that the Sea Beach team is delivering a successful project for New York City Transit. As the slide showed, the 9 severely deteriorated stations have been physically transformed and are being physically transformed, and this will ultimately be good news for New York City Transit, the riders, and the communities that these stations serve. In addition, ADA accessibility will be provided at 3 stations, New Utrecht and 8th Avenue on the N line, and also at 62nd Street on the D line. There'll be an accessible transfer bridge between New Utrecht and the 62nd Street elevated station platforms. This concludes our update on Sea Beach.
Thank you. Now for an update on the new fare payment system, Mr. Poutre.
Good afternoon. I'm the new Fair Payment System Program Executive, and I'm pleased to deliver my report. Today's presentation is a follow-up to the new Fair Payment System procurement briefing that was presented to the Capital Program Oversight Committee in June of 2018. We're going to discuss planned replacement of New York City Transit's MetroCard system and Long Island Railroad and Metro North's fare payment systems. During the first two phases of this project, from now through 2020, the majority of the work involves building out the NFPS back end and installing validators on New York City Transit's buses and in the subway. The introduction of Long Island and Metro North Railroad mobile device fare collection ticketing applications and onboard sales validation devices occurs in Phase 3, to be completed in February of 2021. Therefore, given the NFPS phased installation approach, today's focus will be on Phase 1, which is the launch of contactless payments in New York City Transit subways and buses occurring in May of next year. The new fare payment system is a design-build project broken down into 5 individual phases. This is the same slide that I presented to the board in June. I'm displaying it again, and I am pleased to report we are on schedule as depicted. Phase 1, commencing in May of 2019, is almost here, so I will provide a detailed update as follows. The overall program status. Phase 1 subway stations are on the Lexington Avenue line from 42nd and Grand Central down to Atlantic Avenue Barclays Center in Brooklyn for a total of 16 stations. In addition to serving Midtown and the downtown financial districts, the segment selected serves Metro North customers on the north end and Long Island Railroad customers on the south end. Phase 1 bus routes will include Staten Island, local, SBS, and express routes. The budget for this program is $620 million. Based on contractual milestones achieved to date, we are on budget at 9% complete. Field construction in subway stations to complete network connections began in April and has been progressing on schedule with 88% of Phase 1 station entries finished. The installation of conduit for the subway system will continue throughout 2019 and will be completed in the first quarter of 2020. During the next 6 months, the following will occur. Outreach efforts to launch later this month to develop communications and tailor messaging about the project for the public as well as our own employees. Phase 1 system integration testing involves connecting components to verify the new system works from end to end. This entails linking validators, installing software, and establishing connections via the comms network into the back-end's test region. The testing will be complete in January of 2019. Phase 2 preliminary design review for the project is scheduled for a full week in February of 2019. This will cover continuation of building out web and mobile functionality, as well as the introduction of time-based functionalities. A pilot test will precede the launch of Phase 1 to ensure that any potential customer-facing issues are resolved in advance of the public launch. The public launch of NFPS is on schedule for May of 2019. This will be the first time that our customers can interact with the new fare payment system. What that means is that our customers can use contactless, bank-issued credit and debit cards, as well as mobile wallet apps like Apple, Samsung, and Google Pay for fare payment. Going beyond the 6 months, contactless validators will continue to be installed on turnstiles and buses until the full system is completed in October of 2020. And just as a reminder, the MetroCard remains in full service until the NFPS rollout is complete and service proven in July of 2023. This is a part I don't like so much. As in all projects, we do have some risks. There are 2 change orders underway. The first is for paratransit, which I previously discussed at the Finance Committee briefing in October of 2017 and again at the CPOC briefing in June of 2018. For this change order, there is no anticipated impact to the existing project schedule. The second change order is based on New York City Transit's Fast Forward plan, which calls for all-door boarding on all bus routes. As such, the project office has issued a scope of work for functionality to CUBIC. We intend to implement this additional work without impact to the existing project schedule. We anticipate bringing both of these change orders to the board for the first quarter of 2019. Given that all-door boarding with onboard fare validation eliminates the need for SBS wayside validators, the project equipment savings will be credited to the contract. CUBIC's cost estimates for both paratransit and all-door boarding is pending submission and review. In extensive validator testing over the last month, software variances have been identified. CUBIC is currently working to address these issues. However, given their uncertainty and their potential risk to the schedule, we have sent a team of project engineers to assist in dry run testing and to perform a second round of factory acceptance testing to ensure mitigation. Financial industry commitments have been received from the largest U.S. banking institutions for issuance of contactless credit and debit cards. Additionally, credit card brands have been instrumental in the business modeling to support and accelerate the rollout of contactless technology. That concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions on this? Then I'll go to the IEC project review on new fare payment system. Mr. Tabasoli.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My report for the new fare payment system project is starts on your page 106 of your CPOC book. Based on the IEC review of cost and schedule, we are in agreement with the project on those items. We observed that the project has missed interim milestones, and the project team is working to mitigate the potential schedule impacts. Our major concern is that the results of the recently completed factory acceptance testing show that the contactless reader design requires optimization. This is a risk to the project schedule. Project team is working to correct the issues, and the unit will be retested to ensure that this element meets all contract requirements. Thank you, and this concludes my report.
Albert.
So, if the test will be from Grand Central to Atlantic Barclays, obviously most folks are not doing that particular. If they're doing a segment of that trip, then they would opt for the new technology to give it a test. If you're going to transfer or use any other part of the system that won't be so equipped, you wouldn't probably enlist and test it out unless you're just curious, because otherwise you're carrying 2 types of fare media with you. So the bus thing, of course, is a different animal, but just to equip Grand Central to Atlantic, and I understand why you have to do a test segment first. Is that the best segment that we have selected?
So the point of the introduction is to exercise the back end and make sure that the launch is successful. For by design, we don't really encourage great numbers of usage initially. This is a long project, and until we can have end-to-end connectivity systemically, you're not going to see very high levels of adoption. We experienced the exact same thing when we rolled out MetroCard. So the key to this is that when we conclude in May of 2019 with Phase 1 is not the end. Phase 1 is the beginning, because in June of 2019, I'll have another 20 stations lit, considerably more each month as we go. So it's a continuation, and as more and more stations become connected, the ability to end-to-end travel increases. And hopefully, as we increase that travel, our customer adoption rate rises, and our system is fully tested and service proven. So it's a well-designed systemic approach that ensures success, and that's the ultimate goal here. MetroCard runs side by side until 2023.
Is Phase 1 largely bank-issued cards?
Phase 1 is a combination of bank-issued cards, contactless credit and debit, as well as mobile applications on your phone, which are mobile wallet-based, and they're linked to a funding source, which can be a credit card and or a debit card. And they don't need to be contactless because it's the mobile device that provides the NFC communication.
And
the banks are issuing the cards as we speak. You're going to start seeing ads being run on major television stations. I've got all kinds of stuff that we've been working in the background. It's the chicken and the egg. The banks want to issue the cards, but they need some transactions in order to make it worth their while, and now we're providing them.
And on the smartphone application part, how forgiving is the angle of touching to the turnstile?
You don't actually touch it. You bring it within 1 or 2 centimeters, and you don't touch the screen. You actually touch the rear. And in certain mobile applications, you won't have to wake your phone up at all. The phone will automatically be woken up by the validator. It depends on your phone. The mobile app is actually going to, I hope, be the highest rate of adoption because it provides the customer with the best experience. You'll be able to track your transactions. You'll be able to do your travel planning. You'll get service alerts. It really, the mobile applications in the world in general have not advanced as fast as any of the mobile phone makers would like, and I think this is the perfect venue for them.
Last question is, how close to the actual reader does the phone have to be? If you have it in a
1 to 2 centimeters.
So if a person has it in their purse, is using a different form of payment, and goes through the turnstile, it's not going to accidentally read the
1 to
phone.
2 centimeters.
Okay,
That's
so
about
that's
this
pretty
much.
close, yeah.
And it's by design as well. If you tap your wallet and you've got 5 cards in your wallet, it's going to pick the card that has the strongest antenna or signal. So that's not the way to do it. The way to do it is to tap the device.
Yep. Got it. Thank you.
Again, that's to prevent mischarging.
Okay. Breathtaking. If we're all done with this, then let's go on to an update on MWDB participation. Mr. Garner and Mr. Dean. Oh, hell yes. Now for the Passion Award.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. We're going to give you a quick overview on our annual MWDB goals in relation to goal achievement, both on payments and also on contract awards. And then there's going to be a quick overview and update on the MTA Small Business Mentoring Program.
Good afternoon. For the reporting period, which is for the federally funded projects, for the current fiscal year, the goal is 18%. For the first half of the federal fiscal year, which started on October 2017, $349 million was awarded in federally funded projects, and $41 million went to DBEs. That's 12%. On the right-hand side, we have the payments made during this period. So for the first half of federal fiscal year, $571 million was paid to primes and subs, and total DBE participation, to primes, and the total DBE participation in payments to primes and subs was $97 million, or 17%. We also have non-federally funded projects. So for these state-funded projects, our goal for the current state fiscal year is 15% for MBEs, And for the period that we're reporting on, nearly $2 billion was awarded, of which $289 million, or 15%, was awarded to MBEs. And again, on the right-hand side, the payments are $954 million for this period, and the MBE share was $110 million, or 12%. We also have a goal for WBE participation, and that goal is 15% also, for the same reporting period of nearly $2 billion in awards. The WBE participation is $266 million, or 14%. And on the right-hand side, total payments of $954 million for the WBE share of $102 million, or 11%. Additionally, and lastly, I have a report on the goals for service-disabled veteran-owned businesses. The goal is 6%. And some out of $1.6 billion, some $6 million, or 0.38, was awarded to SDVOBs, and in payments, $95 million was paid for this period, and the SDVOB payments were $900 million, or 1%.
Now, there's a quick brief on the Small Business Mentoring Program, Brian Murphy and George Cleary.
George and I will present the annual CPOC update on the Small Business Development Program. The full report begins on page 109 of the CPOC book. The program is in its 9th year since it was created by legislation in July of 2010. This slide shows the number and total value of contract awards by year for the first 8 years of the Small Business Development Program. The lower values in program year 16 and 17 reflect a delay in the approval of the 15 and 19 capital program. Design and construction were on hold for many of the projects. This slide shows typical projects that are developed by the agencies with the scope shown on the slide. Examples of these projects are included in the CPOC book report. In Tier 1, these are state-funded projects with a contract value up to $1 million. There are currently 172 pre-qualified firms able to bid these projects. During the first 8 years of the program, 250 projects have been awarded with a total value of $152 million. The Tier 1 goal for this project year is $19 million. Tier 2 is exclusive to the graduates of the Tier 1 program. These contracts are also state-funded with values up to $3 million. Contractors must provide a bond for these contracts. 48 contracts have been awarded for a total value of $88 million. The award goal for this year is $66 million. This goal is double the highest Tier 2 goal to date. Missing a page here. Okay. The next page is the federal program. You do not have to come through the Tier 1 or the Tier 2 program for this particular portion of the program. To date, we've awarded 47 projects for a total value of $89 million. The project awards goal for this year is $22 million. This slide shows our progress with making awards for this program year versus the goals for the year. The majority of the projects are awarded towards the end of the program year. As stated, the challenges in developing projects that fit the experience of the contractor and the trade. In addition, recruiting and maintaining a pool of qualified contractors is critical. And now I will turn the program over to George Cleary to present the status of the business development scope.
Good afternoon. This slide is the SDVOB firms distribution by location. There are 244 pre-qualified firms in the program, and that's growing. and we will continue our outreach efforts throughout the 14 counties that we serve. Our loan program, access to capital is one of our strong points within the program. Since the inception of the program, the loan program has 108 loans that have been approved, totaling $14.4 million. MWDB goals. MWDB goals are 30 and 18% respectively. And as you can see, we are exceeding the MWB and DBE goals. This next slide is contracts that have been awarded. This shows the total contracts awarded by ethnicity and gender category for Tier 1, Tier 2, and the federal program since the inception of the program. This shows the total dollars awarded and the percentage to each ethnic group. Our next slide shows contract goals versus award. And we have an ambitious goal, but we are falling short. However, we have identified several strategies to reduce the gap, as you can see here. This next slide is what we projected over the next couple of years. We have adjusted our project projections, and we anticipate awarding 196 projects, totaling $225 million, with an estimated job creation of over 5,400 jobs. This next slide, we talk about our Emerging Contractors Program. Our Emerging Contractors Program was established to increase the diversity of the program. The ECP has the most diverse group of contractors within the Small Business Development Program. 53 firms were pre-qualified. 21 firms satisfied the Tier 1 pre-qualification requirements and have transitioned into Tier 1. 18 firms are still under review for transitioning into Tier 1. 15 firms were not able to meet the Tier 1 pre-qualification requirement, thus they were rescinded from the program. And we had 10 projects that were awarded, totaling $3.87 million. Our training program provides business and technical training for our contractors. Training classes are administered twice a year, in the spring and in the fall. We also have what we call our Summer Leadership Institute training program, which provides additional training for all of our contractors. Our business development activity are diverse. We have several activities that we do throughout the year, including recruitment and outreach of potential program contractors, mandatory and voluntary training classes. We do in-depth assessment and action plan for existing contractors, businesses. We provide high level of customer service, business consulting and guidance, technical and business operation support. And this concludes my CPO presentation.
Questions of Mr. Garner or Mr. Cleary? Then we're ready for the capital program status update. Managing Director Hakam.
Thank you. In terms of commitments, starting on, they're summarized on page 147 of the materials. Overall, through October, the MTA made 27 out of 43 of its major commitments, and it does forecast meeting or exceeding its 28 commitment goal. The completions are summarized on page 151 of the materials, and through October, the MTA achieved 18 major completions, and by year-end anticipates meeting 90% of its overall completion goals.
Any questions on that? That concludes our agenda. May I have a motion to adjourn? Second, all in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you.